Hey, and welcome. You're tuning in to Unbreakable Hope with me, your host, Jessica Rose. This podcast is all about seeking the light. In each episode, we chat with someone who has either overcome the darkness or who is actively spreading light within their own community. So let's jump into today's episode. I'm excited to introduce today's special guest, Vivian. Vivian is the invisible girl, and you'll learn more about what that means in today's episode. She's gone through a lot of life, which I think many of you are going to be able to resonate with. We're going to be talking about healing from childhood trauma, ways that we can improve our lives, and find happiness and love within ourselves. So please join us in today's episode. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to dive into our chat.
Thank you for having me, Jessica.
Well, I would love to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our guests so they can learn a little bit more about you. I know we have some really exciting things to talk about.
Okay. My name is Vivian. Vivian, and I am a trauma-informed coach, where basically I support people who have gone through childhood trauma to heal from the past. And sometimes I do get people who feel like maybe they haven't been through trauma, and as we, get started and we're talking, they realize, oh, actually, I've been through that. So I help them to sort of like let go of the past so that they can move forward to the future. But also, apart from work, I am an author, as we were saying. I'm a new author, actually, and I'm the new author of the debut book called The Invisible Girl: Breaking the Silence of Trauma, which we will dive into it during our conversation. But also, I am a fashion designer as well. I do handmade little girls' dresses, and I don't use a machine at all. I literally use the needle and I stitch the bows, like all of the. I wish I had a dress that I could have showed you now. But yeah, I do that as well. That really relaxes me. It calms me down as well. I do like taking walks when the day is lovely. I do like cooking, and I do like singing, although I feel like people are being nice when they say I can sing, because when I'm hearing myself, I sound like a mouse. So yeah, I don't know about that one yet, but I do have my own podcast as well, called the Moyo Wellness Therapy Podcast. And what else? I'm just a chilled person. I'm a homebody. I do like the comfort of my home. I like watching movies, hanging around with people, friends, family, and yeah. And I think my fashion sense is a little bit different as well, as you can tell with my hairstyle. When I did this color, I thought it was gonna be too much, but people love it. And I'm starting to like it as well. Gingerish, reddish, whatever color you call it. I'm more of a bold kind of like person. I can go on. I don't know. You can tell me to stop. I'm a foodie person. I'm a sweet tooth person as well. I do like sweets, but apart from that, though, I'm all about like regulating my nervous system. I'm all about like my journey towards healing as well. Making sure my mental health is on point. I do this by journaling, meditation. I try to exercise as much as I can, and I do like yeah, just writing and just you know doing the little things that I know will help me to keep centered. Because if you are a survivor of childhood trauma for many years, you do need to find that space, that outlet that would help you to re-regulate your system all the time, because you want to tell your system that it's safe right now. Because if it's been through so much trauma, it can regulate in a trauma response or in a fight response. So you have to do certain things, or even talk to your body and say, you know what, right now we are safe. So that's why it's important to do certain practices that really helps to calm your nerve system down. So yeah, I feel like I'm talking a lot now, but yeah, that is me.
I love it. I feel like that I'm like we already have so much in common. I don't think anyone has ever complimented my singing. I have been forever. In fact, I tried out for a choir when I was like in the uh fourth grade, didn't make it. Fifth grade, didn't make it. Sixth grade, she's like, look, you're tone deaf. I feel sorry for you. I'll let you in. You can like play the bells or something. It was like, okay. But
Oh, I hope you didn't give up.
singing is not a talent God blessed me with. I have other talents that I've leaned into. Like, I joke, I find myself, I'm a talkaholic. So like speaking and facilitating trainings and stuff, that's like right up my alley. I agree with like the physical fitness and wellness, like finding ways to move your body that works for you. And that's something I personally, I do a lot of. I coach rowing programs and I love to run and be outside. That's definitely, that's, that's my tea. I love that. I love that aspect is, anything, anything physically active, moving and grooving and stuff is super fun. I love that you brought up finding things to be able to calm yourself, kind of like a tie-in where you're saying some people we go through stuff in childhood and we don't even really realize it sometimes because our trauma we're good at like, oh, we're just going to block it out as if it didn't happen. And then something later in adulthood comes up and it's like, oh, that's where that came from. And I remember some of the best advice I ever got from a therapist. He had told me, he said, and it was in regards to safety, right? So as you're talking about telling yourself that you're safe, this childhood trauma, and as you get into an adult, a lot of times it's we don't feel safe because of experience we've had. And he said, does it make you feel better? And this was in regards to an argument about locking doors. I'm very at like the doors have to be locked. So if I find a door that's unlocked in my house, I go through this spiral out of control. And I said, my husband doesn't understand and my son doesn't understand. And, my father-in-law, they all live in the same house. And I go, they don't understand like why important this is. And he says, is locking the door, does it make you feel better? I said, yeah. He goes, then that's all that matters. Doesn't matter. Like if, as long as it makes you feel better. So I love that is like finding the thing that works for you. And obviously you do a lot of one-on-one coaching, really helping people through these things. I'm sure that conversation comes up a lot is being able to help find people find ways to what is safe for them and what is safe in that moment, right?
Exactly that. And talking about locking doors, like I don't know where it's come from, but from a very young age, I've never slept with the lights off. There will be if they're gonna be off, there has to be either the TV on, or now what I do is I sleep with those, the stars projectors where like yeah, I it calms me down. And then also another thing that I never do, I never sleep without sound. So I sleep with white noise, which is so weird. And for some reason, that makes me feel safe when I'm sleeping.
Mhm.
And when I don't have that, I need to figure out what happened. Why am I scared of the dark? Or why am I scared of sleeping with literally nothing? Like, I need to figure out, like, I know maybe it's to do with scary movies that I used to watch when I was younger, but I feel like there's a bit more to it. Yeah, and I do annoy like let's say I'm gonna go on holiday with my cousin, for example, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna sleep with the light off. So it's like, do you get your own room? Do you know what I mean? Because certain people don't understand. When you're saying like they just don't understand. But does that make you feel safe? There's something that still needs to be looked at.
Being on in our bedroom that when I travel, it's so funny because I'll have all the lights off and then I'll find myself like, huh. So then I'll turn the TV on to a show that my husband would be watching, not for me to watch, but just because that's what I had gotten so accustomed to and so used to. But as I was doing all this research and sleep hygiene and trying to maximize the little bit of sleep I was getting as a caregiver, I got into wearing a lot of the eye masks. So that way, oh, it's dark for
Yeah.
me. The TV's still on for him, and trying to find how do I navigate this now, and then still repeating that when I travel. I just thought it was the funniest thing. Like I'll still turn the TV on to a show he would watch, and also wear an eye mask, and I'm traveling. I'm like, oh gosh, this is just now what I've become comfortable with.
And I think maybe that is a way to feel safe and to feel as if he's still there with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Even
yeah.
when he was still alive and I was traveling, that's still how I was like, yep, yep. But it makes you feel like that sense of home. And I think that's something a lot of people I talk to, that's something a lot of people crave and a lot of people want is that sense of home, that sense of belonging and being loved. And I think that that helps too if you have any kind of thing that makes it feel more, I would say, homely. That's not the right word that's coming out.
Do you know where that comes from? Talking about that, feeling like for the longest, I've always felt weird. I've always felt different. In the church, I always felt different. In my family's home, I've always felt different. I always felt like literally somebody just put this weird person here among all these people that don't even understand who this person is. And if you find yourself always feeling different and feeling weird, you feel like you would try so hard to fit in, isn't it? You will try so hard to find a place that feels safe, that feels at home. And so like leaving my uncle's house at the age of 17, I just felt like it was time for me to find myself, because I felt like the more I stayed there, the more I was going to continue to lose myself. And I'm not saying that they didn't love me. They did love me in the way that they did. But remember, this is a young person who has come from a place of grief and loss at a very young age, that she never really fully got the closure that she needed. So, regardless of how much love she was given, it was never enough, because the very thing that she needed the most, it wasn't there. So of course, she would feel like an outcast. Of course, she will look at her cousins and she will see how they're being loved and how they're being hugged, and she will look at herself and think, okay, like I need to go. I feel suffocated. I need to go and find myself. And then in the midst of trying to find myself, and trying to find a home, I realized that the home that I was looking for all along was within me.
Mm, mm,
Talking about people wanting to belong and feeling safe, a lot of the times those people, they are running, and
mm,
they're running so far away from themselves that they don't even realize why they're even running. And because for the longest, like I said, I've lost so much. I just wanted to fit in so badly. I wanted to be loved so badly, not realizing that God had already given me the love that I already needed, which was inside of me, and I needed to find that love within me, not within anyone else. And that took years for me to finally get it. And I will continue to be in relationships with people who were toxic, because I'm trying to find love from them. I'm trying to find a home from them. But actually, it was never the case, because God called me for his people so I can help and heal them. And so in order for him to use me that way, he had already given me the love that I needed. But I was too focused on finding that, because God can't give you, he can't call you to a place that he hasn't given you the resources for. And people can't love you in the way that they don't know how to love either. Because sometimes we expect people to love us in a certain way. But what if those people, that's the only love that they know? And so, therefore, instead of trying to find that love in those people, maybe try and find the love that feels safe for you. What does love feel like for you? How does home feel like for you? How
mm,
does it feel like to be safe? And so for me, I realized safety and my home was within me.
mm. And that's what just your lived experience there and all you've learned, you can tell why you're such a great coach and being able to help people through all this. It reminds me, all one of my all-time favorite movie lines is from the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, where it says, "You can run all you want, but you're just going to keep running into yourself." And I see so many people that I know and I love and I care about where they're fighting for a love and affection from someone to have this place of home and safety, but it's not, just like you said, that's not where you get it from. You get it from inside. And it breaks my heart because like every time I hear from one friend in particular, every time I'm like, oh, I want so much more for that person, right? But they have to be able to take the time and look inside and say, hey, I keep seeking these outside validations, this outside love, and that's not going to get me the place of safety and home. So I love that you're willing to be vulnerable and share your story, which obviously a lot of these things that you're saying, right, that ties into your title being the invisible girl. um, I love that so much, and I'm super excited about your book coming out too.
Definitely. It's called The Invisible Girl, Breaking the Silence of Trauma. And the reason why I thought of the invisible girl is I felt my mom felt invisible when she was alive from what I know about her. And even at home, like she felt invisible, as in like nobody ever wanted to speak about her. My dad felt invisible as well, as if like he never existed. And I felt invisible as if like I never existed either. But also, I feel like anyone that picks up the book can relate with feeling invisible at one point in their lives, whether that's in their careers, whether that's in their relationships, whether that is in their friendships, their homes, or whatever. There is a point in our lives where one has felt invisible. And I felt like that invisible girl can connect with any woman who's ever felt silent, who has ever felt invisible, who has ever felt like they never mattered, or who has ever felt like they were never enough, who has ever felt like they needed to chase for something that they didn't necessarily need to chase. And I just felt like a lot of people will be able to relate to that and my story.
Mm, yeah. And unfortunately I agree with that, which is sad. It's just there's so many people who have been through so much hurt and loss in different forms. And you were sharing with me you've lost so many key people in your life in just a short amount of time, and having to grow through and live through all that. It doesn't make it easy. And every loss, it doesn't mean each loss after that is easy. You've been through so much, and that you're willing to put in so much love into the world to invest to help other people make it through your coaching and your podcast and even your beautiful artwork. I could imagine the smile on these little girls' faces getting to wear those beautiful handcrafted dresses, right? Just making them feel seen, right? In a way where they're happy to step out. Just like your personality shows through your bright, beautiful hair.
Literally. And it's one of the, I call it the invisible girl breaking the silence of trauma. And the reason why I call it breaking the silence of trauma is this is where the invisible girl begins to heal from the silence. She's breaking that silence of trauma. She's breaking feeling invisible. She's breaking being silenced all the time. Like she's no longer having she's not having it anymore. She doesn't want to be invisible anymore. She's breaking that silence that has left her so traumatized. She's facing up to what she's been through. If she has been abused, like she's facing what happened to her by breaking her silence and realizing that she's not a victim. And if she has gone through so many other stuff, like she's breaking that, and again claiming her voice and realizing that she's not a victim anymore. And then when it comes to a lot of families, again, there's a lot of families who have so many secrets, a lot of families who like the generational patterns that they've used to somehow raise us has not really been the right system. And so it takes one person to stand up and break that silence of trauma. So within my family, I'm breaking the silence, because for the very longest, my family has gotten so used to be silent and be quiet and accept things, and accept wrong things as if that is the way it's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're being through like so many tragedies, for especially for example, like our ancestors, they went through slavery. Like, you know, a lot of families are conditioned to think that that is okay because that's what they've grown up to. A lot of our ancestors went through rape, unfortunately, and again, if it's not broken, it's going to become continue being a thing where children within families are being raped, and then nobody's going to speak about it. It's going to be a thing of like, whoa, it's what we know, but does that make it right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So that needs to be broken. That trauma needs to be broken.
yeah, that's something that I think we see so much of. And, growing up, it always seemed so odd to me the way some people would think about other people and the way they would judge other people. I'm like, I just don't get it. And I still struggle. Like, that's something I struggle with as an adult is just, I don't honestly, it's not that I don't believe things happen. It's that I have a hard time accepting people being just so hateful. I'm like, well, like why does someone think that way? How could they think that way? Not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's just so hurtful to think how far we've come. But then that's also something when you look back at the time, we haven't in history, we have not come that far in such a short amount of time. Like if we talk about like women's rights in certain countries, like in America, we've been voting in
Exactly.
for a little over 100 years, right? And you look back and see how much we've changed in the last 10, 20, 30 years that our minds and bodies and all these mindsets, I can't think exactly how you said it, but basically like this was normal and nobody said anything. And it's like, well, that's actually not okay. And now we're saying like
Exactly. Exactly. And until somebody takes the stand and break that silence, unfortunately, we're gonna raise a generation that is unhealthy. We're gonna raise a generation that is unstable because of like the government even not wanting to break certain rules and regulations because that's how it's always been done. Like he was talking about the women rights, like, do you know what I mean? Like women back in the days were never allowed to vote, so we're gonna keep it that way. And it's like that was back then. We're in a new age now. Do you know what I mean? That was like back in the 40s. We're not in the 40s anymore. We're like crying out loud. We're in like the 2000s now. Do you know what I mean? So things are different. And but unfortunately, if somebody doesn't raise a concern, it will never change.
yeah.
And that's with families, that's with relationships, that's with the way the government even runs the country. It just will never change if nobody breaks that silence.
Yeah, 100%. If you're not speaking up, and you said one of the phrases that drives me crazy all the time is the whole, well, this is how it's always been. Well, that I from like a business efficiency standpoint, I do a lot of like time efficiency stuff. I'm like, well, just because that's how it's always been done doesn't mean it's efficient or effective. But also, kind of like what we're talking about, right? That doesn't mean it's right and it doesn't mean it's good. That just means like that's how it's been happening. We can change things. We can make things better. We can make things right and move forward. But there's so many people who get stuck in that, like, well, this is just how it's always been. Like, no, I'm just like,
Exactly. And with families, it's a lot. And I see a lot of children suffering, just because their parents want them to be doctors, they will do it, but that's not really what they want to do. And because their parents wanted them to be this, so now they're projecting that their children must also be that. And it's like, it doesn't make it right.
yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. That's still happening all over the world. And then there's that, it kind of circles back to what we were saying, right? Is that then there's that piece of I want to feel love and connected and safe and feel like I have this home. So let me do this thing for these people who I feel like they'll love me, or I'll stay connected, or I'll have that home if I do what they like and what pleases them and what makes them happy, rather than saying like what actually makes me happy.
Oh, say that one more time. We never ask that. We never do. We really never do. And this reminds me of my topic for this week for my podcast. I was talking about like how sometimes you don't even realize you're losing yourself in the process. Like that statement of like something has to give because you're doing too much. And the sad part is people give up themselves. And I'm like, why do you, let's say somebody is working on a big project at work and they don't have enough time to maybe go to the gym, or they don't have enough time to maybe eat healthy. They're then now eating takeaways, they're staying late, and they're not looking after themselves, and because they don't have that much capacity. And then the thing is like, well, I haven't got much capacity, something has to give. And then in the end, people end up giving themselves. And then who even said we should? It feels like it's come that something has to give, and people giving up themselves in the process, and it affecting their mental health, it affecting their well-being. And they don't, it's almost as if like they don't matter, we don't matter, the work matters more. And I get that the work pays the bills, I get that the work feeds me, but at what cost?
Yes. Yes. That's something that I struggle with the most being a caregiver to my husband. So my husband had brain cancer and at one point lost his ability to talk, lost use of his arm, lost his ability to walk, had battled with incontinence. So it was just a lot of different complexities to his physical, mental care. And I remember at one point we were staying in the hospital and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm losing myself because I'm going all in all the time and I can't let that happen because one, sadly, if my husband passed away, I have to have an identity separate. But I really had to come to terms with like, okay, if I take better care of myself, I will be more an effective and efficient caregiver for him. And it's so crazy, like almost like tricking your brain, right? I'm all about like training your brain is that I had to make it to where I didn't feel selfish. So I'm like, the best thing for my husband is for me to do these things for myself. So when I come back, I'm not worn out, I'm not angry. And I can truly say that when my husband passed away, I was at this place of love and pure peace, like being his caregiver. And that's something that I had to work towards. But it's the biggest thing I see like with caregivers is my husband's life was literally on the line on a regular basis. And like his life depended on things that I did. So in those moments where I could find the pockets that he doesn't need me in this moment to keep him alive, someone else can be there and do the thing. How can I put life back into me to then
Oof.
effectively care for him? And it's hard when you get that wake up call where you're like, I'm losing myself, or I've already lost myself, or I'm so burnt out. Those moments where I would tell my husband, like, sometimes I just have to take five. And there's three times I distinctly remember over the past 6 years where I had to walk out like of the room, right? At one point I walked out of the house, but my husband was terrified. He thought I wasn't going to come back. And I was like, oh, I'm coming back. I just need 5 minutes. I just need to walk outside, get fresh air, and then I will be back and then I will be okay and I can take care of this. But right now, if I stay, I'm going to force myself in a situation that I will not be able to make it through. And I'm going to say or do things that aren't okay and not appropriate.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because I feel like that's why there's just a lot of dysfunction that I find is happening in the world. And I just feel like people are just not like looking after themselves in the way that they need to look after themselves. It almost feels as if they don't matter, the job matters, because we live in a rush, 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 rush society where it's go, 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 go. And then people realize that people end up adding another trauma, another stress becomes trauma as well. That's another thing that people don't even realize. When you're so stressed, it becomes trauma. It affects your anxiety, your mental health. And so it's really important to really choose yourself in the midst of chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautifully said. And it's so hard. And I'm sure that we have people listening right now that feel like they're in that chaos and they don't feel like they're going to be able to take that step. And um, what might be some advice that you have if there's someone in the moment right now to be able to take that minute for themselves, or I like to say like taking five, taking five, what's something that you would recommend for people?
Okay, so I'll say let's say for example, you're just getting so stressed and you're panicking or whatever. Or I'll give it a good one. Let's say maybe you are in an interview and you're finding yourself getting very nervous, very stressed, and just ask to be excused for a minute. Just say, "Oh, is it okay for me? I just need to use the restroom." And then in the restroom, I always say, when somebody is getting so stressed, they're not breathing properly.
Mm,
When somebody's panicking, they've stopped breathing properly.
mm,
When somebody is like they're getting all this anxiousness and all this negativeness, they're not breathing properly. They've literally, a part of their breathing is just not functioning well. And so I always say this: take a deep breath, just breathe in and then breathe out, but also do, like, for example, breathe in 4 times in and hold it. So breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold it in, and then breathe out slowly 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that for the next 30 seconds. You will feel so much calmer. You'll be back to yourself, literally.
I think so many people take for granted breath work, or they feel like it's silly or it's dumb, but it really is just like you were saying, like you start to get anxious and you get worked up, and then what happens is your breathing gets rapid, and then you're not getting a proper oxygen flow to your brain, which is really
Exactly.
not operating at prime point if you're already anxious and stressed.
And then your brain becomes imbalanced.
Yes.
And then all it takes is for you to just breathe.
Yeah. I do love
But also,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, God. No, go on.
I love when people like, like you're all worked up and they're like, you just need to take a breath. And then you'd want to like punch them in the face. One thing that my husband would do, which would always kind of get me laughing, and I realized I was like, oh, this is such a better response, is when people are like, you just need to take some breaths. Taking a big exhaling breath for the person, right? So if your friend is like super anxious and all worked up, just doing like a right in front of them, then it feels less silly and intimidating for the person who's already anxious and overwhelmed. They could just like mock that. Well, my husband would always quote, and I, for the longest, I did not realize it was coming from the movie Bad Boys. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but he would go, woo,
Oh,
sigh.
yeah. Martin Lawrence.
Yes. I did not realize that's where it was coming from. And finally, one of my caregivers was like, yeah, from Bad Boys. I was like, wait, what? But I'll get that way. I'll get my 100 miles an hour and and then I'd be all worked up and mad or something. And then my husband would just go, woo, sa.
You will love, isn't it?
Yes. And I would start to laugh because then I'm being crazy right now, right? And he's like, uh-huh, yeah, yeah. And that was something my husband did after he lost his ability to talk. So he could say a few words, but that was one of them that he would always say. And I got it tattooed with his heartbeat because I was like, oh, I'll always remember that. He's just like, calm down, just take a breath, like woo-sa.
Oh, oh, exactly. But also, check in with yourself. A journal is a good way, because when there's so much going on in your mind, it's always harder to process what's important and what you need to do now, especially if you've been through so much trauma. And when you've been through so much trauma as a child, particularly, you find a way to survive without dealing with what you need to deal with. So then you're just in survival mode. And so unfortunately, we do take that into adulthood as well. We learn to survive in survival mode. And so we're not even stopping to think about, how am I feeling right now? Like, what do I need right now? Like, what does Vivian need right now? Everything else, yes, everything is happening, but what do I need right now? But also, like, being honest about what it is that you are struggling with. And sometimes a journal and your pen and your thoughts they go so hand, they go so well because as you're beginning to write, it's like what I like to do is I like to do Dear Jessica, right? Dear Jessica, Dear Vivian. I don't know if you have tried it. It's better than Dear Diary because when you say Dear Vivian,
Mm,
something higher than me takes over and actually begins to give me advice, begins to, like, as if it's a therapist. It's like a therapist has come through and is now guiding me, but I am the one writing. But what changed the narrative was I said, Dear Vivian,
mm,
I
yeah.
am so proud of you. You are doing so well. And then as I start with those words, what I needed to hear within that moment, I would hear it, whether it's towards the end or whether it's in the beginning. I get that clarity. So when I start off with, I tried it and I was like, I might even do a Dear Vivian journal blog because yeah, let's see, because there's just so much downloads that comes to that. As if I just say Dear Diary, or Dear Journal, like there's a struggle to kind of like write what's on your mind. But when you say Dear Vivian, it's like your higher self then, oh, okay, takes over. And then you're just writing and writing and writing. And I realized that if I haven't written on my journal for a while, I get so much confused about, like, I don't even realize that there's anything wrong with me because I'm so used to survival.
Mm,
And so to check in on a daily basis on how you're doing, how you're feeling, or what I could have done better, or like what can I change different, or like if you have an issue with somebody, instead of confronting that person straight away, just write on your journal, express how you feel. And then after, if you feel like you still feel heavy about the situation, then maybe do have a chat. But the chat will be a lot more different than if you hadn't written the journal first. So writing is another thing that I would say take a moment. But if you are in a busy situation and you don't have the time to journal, you can do a voice note for yourself. You've got your phone, you can speak to yourself.
I love the idea of it, like addressing yourself. And as you say, like the Dear Vivian, it makes me think of like, you know, I say like back in the day, like handwritten love letters, right? And almost this like poetic way of connecting with somebody. And it's a way to
Exactly.
connect with yourself. So I love that idea of, really reframing things and making it something more that you're getting it out for yourself. And like you said, coming from a higher power, coming from somewhere else, being able to say like, hey, this is where you're at. You got this. That's really sweet.
And then I think as well for me, I got my non-negotiables is meditation. It also regulates your system. Your mind goes to a different state. I feel safe there. What I do is I'll listen to like maybe nice music background and I'm just in a quiet space. And sometimes I can zone in for like even an hour, because it just feels so peaceful. And by the time I come back from it, I feel so good.
Mm.
And then changing my atmosphere as well, like what you said in the beginning, going for a walk, just going outside. That also helps as well.
Yeah, that change of pace. That's something that definitely helped me through some tough times I had was like every hour, if I had to, I'd get up and I would just walk like a quick block around my house and then come back and like, okay,
And then a big one that a lot of people underestimate, music.
yes. My favorite. I say I have a playlist for everything, like any kind of emotion. I have a playlist for it. Let's get it out. Let's pump it up.
Literally.
Whatever you need in that moment.
And then I think lastly, I'll say find a hobby that you can do for yourself. as I was saying, I do knitting. Knitting relaxes my nerve system. Cooking relaxes me. I do love cleaning as well. That relaxes me as well. It's therapeutic for me. Sewing dresses, I also do love that. But also adult coloring as well. I do like doing adult coloring as well. That also smooth me as well. I've got this one. I haven't done it in a while, but I've got this one. It's so cute. I would just be like coloring and stuff like that. Like just find something outside of your work, outside of that's how you begin to that's how I was able to find myself.
Mm.
That's how I was able to love myself. That's how I was able to feel safe within myself by doing things on my own and finding what makes me happy
Mm.
and spending time with me and not trying to be with people all the time. Even taking myself to restaurants, people used to think I was crazy, but I did it. Like
Mm.
I'll got one time I went out for a free course meal. I got dressed, I had a discount voucher, and I went and I loved it. And then the more I did that, the more I realized actually, I know the world tells us that we need to do stuff with people, but I don't mind doing these things on my own, going to the movies on my own, taking myself on dates. I really got to really love myself more the more I spend more time with me.
And that goes back to what we said earlier too, is like finding what you love and what you enjoy that's not influenced by outside perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll
And
never.
silencing the noise of what you think is expected from you versus what you need.
Yes. Yes. That is that is definitely the hard part with all the different influences. Like I love how much technology brings us together. I mean, that's how we've got to meet and here we are communicating over Zoom, but it's also something that people need to be aware of is now you have this ability for all these different outside perspectives and viewpoints of people you've never met, maybe never will meet, influencing your day to day. So I love that taking yourself on dates because if we're not finding what we love and what makes us happy, then we're constantly going to be chasing this love and this home that doesn't really exist outside ourselves.
And then also never get married because you want that person to complete you.
Mm, yeah.
Never be in a relationship because you want somebody to complete you and make you happy.
Mhm.
Never be in a job because you want that job to complete you because you're an avoidance of something. No one or nothing can complete you but you. And of course, God as well.
Yeah. That's so true. I think that's something that I see the most in people. Oh, I feel like we could talk for hours.
Literally, I know.
Even like all the other fun things you shared. So I'll definitely be talking to you more about that offline. But I want to give you an opportunity if I mean I know we covered a lot. If there's some final thoughts, obviously the links will be below on how to connect with you to be able to book you for your amazing services, to get on your list to hear more about your book launch coming up. But is there anything else that you want to make sure to share before we close out our episode?
One thing I would want to say to people is don't compare trauma to how it look like to other people because then you're denying yourself healing.
Yeah.
Just because just because so Jessica, losing your husband is trauma.
Mhm.
Some people might not think like it, but that is trauma. It's different for other people. It's me losing my mom was trauma, but it's different from losing your husband. But we can't compare the two. But when you lose somebody, regardless of who they are, it's trauma. When you've been in an accident, it's trauma. When you've been abused physically, emotionally, is trauma. Don't compare how somebody has been battered versus you being emotionally abused is still trauma. If you find yourself addicted to substance misuse, drugs, alcohol, you're dealing with internal trauma that you are refusing to face. You've probably subconsciously have forgotten what it is that you need to deal with. So drinking, smoking, doing things and being in avoidance doesn't take away the fact that you've been through something. Being through something doesn't make you the victim. But you running away from it does make you the victim, because why are you running? Remember, what happened to you was never your fault, but what happens to you next is your responsibility. So it's not even about you anymore. We're trying to break the silence of trauma. We're trying to break unhealthy generational patterns that have been embedded in families. So don't let your children suffer what could have been avoided because you refuse to heal. Don't let your children go through the pain that you went through. Let your children and the next generation in your family be free from trauma by you taking the stand and saying enough is enough. And how do you deal with that? Seek a therapist. Start journaling. Talk to somebody. Find a trauma-informed coach like myself. I can guide you. I can help you through it. People feel ashamed and embarrassed to talk about what they have been through. They feel like it's their fault. It was never your fault. You were only a child. You didn't understand what was happening to you. But now you know better. So I'll say, with so much love, do better.
Of so much wisdom from all the growth that you've had to do. And I'm so appreciative of your time and being able to share that with our listeners and just your you can see I say you can see like you can even hear like your spirit, your true loving spirit and just wanting the best for people. So thank you so much for all of your insights. And I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much. And also, The Invisible Girl, Breaking the Silence of Trauma, is all about my childhood traumas that I've been through growing up, but also it does guide you towards your healing as well. You do have healing reflections in each chapter. You do have guidance as well. You do have support, and it's an amazing book. And grab it because you might be able to relate with the Invisible Girl. If not, maybe you might know somebody that does. And the book is going to be out on the 22nd of April, and it's going to be on Amazon, and I'm going to send Jessica all of the details. And I'm still deciding whether to have a book launch or not, but once that is confirmed, I will give you guys all the details and I will let Jessica know. But also, do visit my website where you will be able to hear a lot more about my podcast, what I talk about. And also, if you want to book a one-to-one coaching section with me, or if you just want to find out if you have trauma, and because you might feel like maybe you don't, and you might realize that actually you do, and you do need that support. And having trauma again doesn't mean that you're broken, doesn't mean that you're sick, it doesn't mean you're unwell. It just that means that you went through a terrible tragic when you were a lot younger. And so do visit my website, which is www.moyowellnesstherapy.com. And if you do want to connect and you've got questions, do send an email to moyowellnesstherapy@gmail.com, and somebody will be able to get hold of you. And then I do have YouTube, but I'm gonna start soon. There isn't anything on the YouTube channel as yet. But yeah, so guys, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. And Jessica, you, by the way, you need to come to my podcast.
Yeah. Can't wait. All the links are below, so definitely check her out, give her a follow, and share, share, share. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you found this episode inspiring, please share it with someone you never know who needs more light in their life. May this serve as a reminder that there's always darkness in the world. Do not let it consume you. Always seek the light. Please take a moment to do the good old subscribe, rate, and review. Your support means so much to me, and it helps me spread more light and love. Until next time, be kind, be loving, be human, and don't ever let anyone steal your hope.